Right.
Is there a benefit to it?
So think again, noise, right? So a healthy cell operates at a certain voltage, negative 20 millivolts. All right. A healing cell operates much higher, like a stem cell can be in the negative 120s. And so if you can increase the voltage of the cell, you increase the cell function. A doc that I know well, he said the key to all disease is mitochondrial function. And he's accurate to that. So increase the voltage of the mitochondria. It's called mitogenesis. It will activate things. Our goal is to have the medical freedom to be able to choose something that's natural, because blood is not a drug. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Blood is not a drug. There's power. There's authority in blood.
They're drinking children blood that's been basically spiked with cortisol because they killed them they put them through a very traumatic.
Oh, I just heard about that. Yeah. This is wicked.
This is some wicked,
this is
wild
evil
stuff.
Yeah. And
I
something
just heard about that.
Something about the
Because it's a
fountain,
powerful.
It's a fountain of youth almost. I'm interested in your thoughts on grounding and earthing, because you talk about the body being electrical.
Right.
Is there a benefit to it?
So think again, noise. So a healthy cell operates at a certain voltage, negative 20 millivolts. All right. A healing cell operates much higher, like a stem cell can be in the negative 120s.
Wow.
So it's a powerhouse. Think, just that like I envision archangels just coming in.
Yeah.
That's a stem cell coming down and just going, boom, I'm going to help you. Right.
Yeah, right.
So a healthy cell is negative 20. A sick cell loses voltage. And as it loses voltage, it can flip polarity. And then I call it the spark. Then it can only just exist. And that's where inflammation comes in. Now, if it gets less and less, it becomes 2.5 because pH is a measure of electrical function of liquid. That's what pH is. It's electrical function measurements. So if it becomes 2.5, that's what we term, those types of cells we term cancerous, right? And so if you can increase the voltage of the cell, you increase the cell function. A doc that I know well, he said the key to all disease is mitochondrial function. And he's accurate to that. So increase the voltage of the mitochondria. It's called mitogenesis. It will activate things. Now, it's not just that, though, because you keep going deeper, right? Then you get someone else smarter than you. And, how smart are you? Well, who's the 5 people you hang out with, right?
Yeah.
You got to hang out with smart people. I have scientists that I hang out with.
Yeah.
That's what gives me the
help.
stuff.
That gives you an edge for sure.
That gives me some edge. And, so what I've learned from these scientists is there's this thing, you remember in cell biology in high school, mitochondria, right? And these things on the outside called endoplasmic reticulum, and they make all this stuff. They're like the factory.
Yeah.
And so you turn on the power with the mitochondria, and then the factory starts to work.
Yeah.
So grounding, literally, if sickness and disease is loss of voltage, grounding is what? It's a negative charge. Right. And so what it does is it grounds your body to the earth, because it's just like, why do we feel good in the ocean? It's because of the movement of the water recharges us, and the earth has negative electrons. So voltage, we got our words wrong. Negative is good. Positive is bad.
Positive,
right. Because free radicals in the body are bad, and they carry a positive charge, or they're missing that negative charge to make it neutral.
Right. So grounding just gives your body the ability. Really think of it this way, because I have a grounding mat at my desk at home, and if you use
grounding sheets.
Yeah, I do too. The problem is you got the good ones. I haven't found a good enough one yet that I can just put underneath a sheet. And if you ever if you're on a grounding thing, and if you touch like your laptop, you'll feel resonant frequency. Have you noticed that? If you're using
weird.
grounding,
No.
Yeah,
I have a grounding mat at my standing desk, and to be honest, I much prefer to go on the grass. I felt immense pain in my joints standing on the grounding mat, and it just, to me, seemed not as effective. And maybe it's chalked up to dirty electricity. I'm not sure, but
with the grass though.
No, never with the grass.
Never with the grass. Okay,
I
interesting.
agree,
I wondered about that too, because I wondered if there's a difference in having like the grounding sheets like we have versus actually standing on the ground. There's got to be a difference, right?
Grounding on the ground is, that's why they call it grounding.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Ground.
Right.
And we're not talking concrete.
Right.
Right. And
Yeah,
the
grass
diehards,
and
the
dirt
diehards call it earthing. Because
The earthing.
That's right. That's right.
Because
The
there
most
is a
natural.
difference.
Words keep changing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Miss and dis and now and
Landing.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm a big proponent of grounding. Some of the stuff is good, some of it's not. But just think, if you put your feet on something that grounds you to negative, it gives you a drain for the positive charges, and it can pull the positive out of you. Much like those foot baths, those detox baths. There's negative charged water, and they're like, oh, well, that water would turn that way or this or that. But it helps people. So what I always say to anything out there when someone says, hey, does this work? My first question is, has it helped you?
Yeah, 100%.
And they say, yeah. I say, well, then yes, it works.
Yeah, you got to try it yourself. Yeah.
So yeah, the answer is big proponent of grounding, but just think now, because you just nailed it. So you just said earthing's better than grounding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, taking day zero messages that aren't exposed to the toxins, the problems, and the signals of your own body, because your own body adapts. You don't feel the earrings in your ear anymore.
Yeah.
Your body doesn't sense the problems anymore until it's awakened. So you can take now and have day zero. I mean, they just got the breath of life. Those cells were last touched, I believe, by God, because he said, I knew you and knit you together in the womb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then he gives the breath of life. So you've got these, some people call them immature. They're highly mature. I would say unadulterated, unaffected by the earth messages from this newborn's donated umbilical cord. Important to remember that you can put in your body to electrically ground you at a cellular level.
Yeah.
Wow. So the microcurrent, so go back to the microcurrent. That guy actually just called me again, because he's a brilliant bioengineer. And he said, hey, we need to get back together. Why don't you use my product as much? And I said, well, bro, I have a biologic microcurrent. I used to have to use your device to find it. The body orchestrates that process now.
Yeah.
Now, can microcurrent still help and be an adjunct to it? Yes. Can peptides still help and be an adjunct to it? Yeah, because when you want to rebuild, remember what I said, the cells then orchestrate and say, here's how to rebuild. So they're like the foreman rebuilding a skyscraper. But if there's not resources there and there's not workers there, can you build anything? No. Peptides are the resources. See how that works? Yeah. So it goes hand in hand. Grounding increases your function. Hydration is important. Why? Because we're electrical. There's this thing called the collagen matrix inside of us. It's like fiber optic communication. It's triple helix bonded with what? Water.
Water, yeah.
Water.
Yeah.
So the more hydrated you are, the more your body communicates. So yeah, everything is synchronous. But just think, why a regenerative product? Why regenerative cell factors? It's not just if you're sick. It's just most people are. My son, he says it best. We were speaking at a conference in Utah, and I had him come up and talk. And he looked at the room full of probably 55 to 70 was the age, right? To him, a bunch of old people.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And your father will agree with this. You learn from your kids if you listen. And he walked up
I
there.
would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're the kid.
Yeah. Valid.
But he walks up there, and it's impromptu. I don't know what he's going to say. He walks up there and he looks at the crowd, and he says, "Your kids don't need to suffer with the diseases and the problems and the decline that you suffered with if they do this now."
Oh, wow. Smart kid.
And he turned around and walked away. And I walked up, I picked the mic back up, and I literally went, "Punk."
Yep. That's the perfect time for a mic drop. Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Is there a concern for too much grounding? I mean, I'm looking at this like I'm sleeping on a grounding sheet for, 8 hours a night at best. Is it doing anything detrimental at that point?
So there's a lot of studies in that. It's like yes or no. It's like microcurrent. Can you do too much?
I know. Then how do you know if you have too?
Well, because you're not going to feel well.
Okay. Yeah.
If something's off, your body will tell you. Listen to your body, right?
Yeah.
Now, I agree. It was artificial grounding. Why? Because it's the wiring of the body.
Yeah.
It's the wiring of the house.
Yeah, right.
Wiring of the body, same thing.
Yeah.
Right? So the wiring of the house is messed up. You could feel kind of funky.
Yeah.
Right?
But are you taking electrical source from the house at that point?
The grounding, the theory is no, but I'm going to tell you,
Yeah.
there's spillover. So you have
That's what
a
I was
little
thinking.
bit.
I was thinking there's got to be.
You have a
right?
little bit happening, but however is the right word. As long as it's an electron base that's increasing voltage, it's not going to be terrible. Now, do you want to be grounded all the time? Here's the answer. We were.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
We were, right?
Yeah. Before
I
shoes,
mean,
we lived
before
outside.
shoes,
Right.
before, I mean,
Right.
why, when I was younger, I lived up in Chicago and man, we loved to go to the beach and play volleyball and
Yep.
we felt great. We'd
Yep.
play a whole day. We'd go in the water and we'd lay on the beach
Yeah.
and we went away feeling great. And, you know, the older you get, the less you do that. I'm telling you, go to the beach.
It's important. I know.
Evan,
grounded.
I do have this study. This is from PubMed, and this is really interesting. You should read it for the audience.
Panel B shows infrared images of a 33-year-old woman who has had a gymnastics injury at age 15. The patient had a long history of chronic right knee pain, swelling, and instability, and was unable to stand for long periods. Simple actions such as driving increased the symptoms. She had to sleep with a pillow between her knees to decrease the pain. On and off medical treatment and physical therapy over the years provided minimal relief. She presented on November 17, 2004 with considerable considerable right medical knee tenderness and a mild limp. Top images, panel B, were taken in walking.
Blah, blah, blah. Go down to the patient reported
It's behind the camera. I'm trying to get around it.
So lower images in panel B taken 30 minutes after being grounded with an electro patch. She reported a mild reduction in pain, noted a significant reduction of inflammation in the knee area, and that's from the panel imaging. After 6 days of grounding, she reported a 50% reduction in pain. She could stand for long periods, no longer needed to sleep with the pillow between her knees. After 4 weeks of treatment, she felt good enough to play soccer, and for the first time in 15 years, felt no instability and little pain. By 12 weeks, her pain had diminished 90%, and she had no swelling.
And this is being treated only with grounding?
Yes.
The big thing there, though, is what it was the last word. Swelling. What's the problem is inflammation.
Right.
The problem is inflammation.
Right.
And now remember, you nailed it. So it's the same reason that thing you pulled up called paracrine signaling. Why does a cell know where the problem is? Well, a sick cell is a more positive charge. A healthy cell is a negative charge. It attracts.
It attracts.
Right?
Yeah, right.
So when you ground, the positive charges are attracted to the ground. And guess what? God made our feet highly porous.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's why we sweat when we wear shoes.
That's why we sweat. So don't try to get your feet to stop sweating. Just get them out of the shoes more.
Yeah.
Wow. Get them on the ground more. Yeah. No.
Get on the ground more. I mean, really, it's funky, but you know, that was, part of what that movement that, the 70s and the 60s, right?
Yeah.
Everyone, it was a big earth movement and peace. And what did they all do? They got out in the fields.
Oh, I am exactly who I made fun of when I was a kid.
100%, man. I am too.
Are there commercials like that? About insurance or something?
Well, I think it's interesting too. We've had on so many doctors and specialists who they just say the same exact thing. And it's just like strip away all the stuff and go back to how we did things in the beginning, and you will live better. You will sleep better. You will be happier. You will be healthier. Eat more organic raw foods, go outside, play in the sunlight, put your feet on the ground. I mean, all these things. It's just like we live in a time where things are just overly complicated, and we've made it that way. And there's a lot of, advancements with that. But at the same time, if you can just go back and simplify, I feel like that makes such a difference.
Here's what I think you're saying. This is what comes to me is there's a statement that for the generation above, doesn't matter what.
Yeah.
So my generation for my kids, right? The battles that we don't fight are the wars that our children fight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. 100%.
So in healthcare, what we're really talking about here is medical freedom. That's what you just said.
Yeah. Yep.
Medical freedom. I think we were talking that earlier. That's RFK. That's doing that, right?
Sure.
And that aligns. He aligns big with a lot of that. Some of the things he's got going. I know someday I'll meet him and we'll hopefully align with that. But it's really medical freedom because if we don't battle for this now, look what happened. It's our children that have to.
I know.
And we're not just talking, I'm talking medical. We're not talking political. I'm talking medical.
Right.
Right. So my battles are your wars.
Yeah.
Right. And what I love is your generation has taken up the baton on that because you started saying that. And part of it's the internet and education and everything else.
Sure.
But you're taking up the baton and you said, I am responsible for me. And I'm not your father. I'm responsible for my children.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm responsible for my kids as well.
We are the other adult in the room.
We are the other adult in the room, right? And I feel like I'm blessed enough that I grew up around it. I've been, my dad's done work in this for years and years and years.
Right.
I grew up eating, only organic and weird seed bread when everybody else was eating white bread and, all the things. But man,
Nobody wanted to trade with you.
nobody wanted to trade with me. No, never. I was the last one anybody ever wanted to trade.
Lunch.
I remember the first day of fifth
No
grade.
Cheetos for you.
Yeah.
I had been homeschooled from, I think, second grade to fifth grade. And I got to school in fifth grade and I was already like a little bit nervous because I was like, this is such a different thing. And we get to lunch and we open up our lunch bags and, of course I've got this like weird seed bread with oats in it and like all this crap. And I remember this kid looked over at me and he was like, I'm sorry, but that's the grossest looking bread I've ever seen.
All right, but now here's the thing,
like,
bro.
oh.
He's right. You were not cool.
No, I was very much not cool.
But don't say his name. But now if you go find him, what does he look like?
I don't know. Fifth grade was a long time ago.
What does he look like? And that, my wife and I went out to Costco, to Nebraska Furniture looking for some things. And we noticed what everyone's noticing.
Yeah.
There was so many very, very large people there.
Oh yeah.
Very large people. And it was funny because we're looking for a piece of furniture that you just can't find. So we walked back into the clearance and she said, oh, this is the broken down by fat people clearance. And I just went, ouch. And I don't mean that to be adverse. Some people have issues, right?
No,
but make the changes and be, you guys say it, be the other adult in the room.
Right.
And it's lifestyle changes, even for this.
Yeah.
Here's the difficulty. People take this and they treat it like a drug. They think it's going to fix them. Right. And it is going to help their body to repair.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Right? 50%.
But the next phase is on them, right?
It's 50% regeneration and things their body hasn't seen, 50% them.
Yeah.
Lifestyle changes. If your knee hurts and you're crooked and you're tilted and you don't make a change and you're overweight and you don't make a change, it will help. And a medical doc said this down in Florida. He said, you can use regenerative cell factors to erase your mistakes.
Yeah.
You can make lifestyle changes and then use it to be and stay well and live a long life. We say live younger and stronger for longer, right? The rest of your life can be the best of your life.
Yeah.
Or you can keep making the same mistakes and then you're going to have to keep using this to erase it. The problem is, you guys didn't have it as much anymore because people don't use pencils as much. But what happens when you keep erasing something? The paper gets thinner and thinner, and eventually you wear through it.
Tear it up.
I think that for like a lot of people, it's just finding like that balance, right? It's just, okay, we understand that there needs to be physical activity and there needs to be supplements and there needs to be a good, clean diet. But then where do you find the balance to where you can have wine or a beverage that you want or food that you want? I think that so many times, myself, you get on this path of like, I'm going to go full throttle and fasting and I'm going to get on this diet. And then you lay the hammer down for 8 weeks or, 12 weeks. And then you're just like completely burnt out. There's no balance. You did more harm than good, I guess, because then you binged for like a week after. So
Right.
I think it's not just black and white. I think that if you find that balance of like, hey man, like we were talking about with the kids,
Yeah, for
like
sure.
85% of the week, I'm doing what I need to do to feel the best I can be and be the best I can be, and then maybe 1 or 2 days I get to treat myself or something. I don't know. Obviously within reason, right? I mean, if you're suffering from an ailment, you got to look at it differently. But if you're proactive and you jump in front of it,
yeah.
I mean, just having a balance
grace on yourself. No, I think the balance thing's important too. I mean, I'm in like the middle of that actually right now. I'm doing a cleanse right now, a parasite cleanse. Day 2 feels like day 10. It's a 10-day cleanse.
Right.
And it's really kind of opened my eyes to, just how much crap we consume. I try to eat pretty clean. I try to eat organic when I can. I try to eat, healthy meat options and everything. Right. And man, it really opens your eyes to just how much garbage we are exposed to. Even me as a person that's like trying to, constantly make healthy choices. There's a lot of the times that that I don't. And there's a lot of times that from not doing that, I really feel it. And I can feel it on a cleanse right now, even tenfold because I'm going against it. But
you feel it after you eat too.
You feel it after you eat. Exactly. And I mean, Mark, I think is right. It's about finding balance because you can't always get those healthy options. You can't always not have. I mean, there's times. Look, we all live healthy or extremely chaotic lives, right? Yeah. It's like we have jobs, we have kids, we have work, we have this and that, and so there are times when you just got to do a drive-through. Sorry, Katie, my wife, but there are times when you got to do the drive-through. But yeah, I mean, it happens, right? It's just like it's about balance,
moderation.
Yeah. Moderation.
I mean, we live in Texas. How many of your listeners are like Bluebell? My son lives in Aspen now. He ships Bluebell ice cream in. Yeah. You know,
worth it.
Don't eat it. Worth every dime. Don't eat it every night.
Yeah.
You know, you asked something and I apologize. I never answered it. I realized because we got off the path because you said, well, what does someone experience in a clinic? Two things I want the audience to understand. We learned one thing is that I don't need brick and mortar. Mm-hmm. So we're actually nearly in all 50 states. The New England states are a little bit sparse, but we partner with medical teams all over the country that are interested in it. And what we realized was the medical offices are very busy. It could be a chiropractor, then we bring medical in. It can be an IV, IV place, and then we might be able to use the medical. But we just partner in, and I've got the team with these other healthcare practitioners that they just basically partner with us, send us the client. We do the consultation and everything virtual. We call it from decision or from discovery to decision because it takes a while to educate things like this, right? And then when they're ready, it's a cryopreserved product. It gets shipped overnight to whatever location that is. And then they receive it based on what the medical team decides, IV, joint injection, and of course, you know, the appropriate medical team for those. So we have offices now, partnerships all over the country.
Wow, that's
so awesome. It's not like they have to fly to Dallas. It's Airbnb of medical. Because if we want to do medical freedom, I can't be everywhere.
No, of course.
And I don't need to be. And here's the big thing. Yeah. There's some big statements here. For the first time in a patient's life, they don't need a test to know what's wrong and a doctor to be right.
Love that.
Think how big that is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So when you come in, you just call us, you talk with us, we educate you. If you're thinking about it and you're thinking, can this help me? What's the answer? Yes. It's just how and what are my expectations of outcomes for your family member? What was it? You know, well, nothing else is working. Let's see how this goes because you can even rehab is great, but it's not going to repair certain things.
Yeah.
This is what God used to build us. It's programmed to build. Right. And so then what we do is we just, the medical team delivers it. It takes all of 5 minutes. It's more for the, talking and saying, how's it going? And then we just follow up with you with phone calls. And most of the time it's just getting testimonies. You know, we had one guy, he had digestive issues. You know, we don't claim words and diagnoses because I think the body doesn't know what ulcerative colitis is.
Yeah.
It knows loss of function, loss of voltage, and cell senescence. Yeah, it knows cellular degeneration. So if you can cellular regenerate, you can repair. This guy went from I'm on medication all the time, and I can't barely eat to, literally this was a quick one because signals change first. It's like, oh my gosh, in 10 days, my pain was gone.
So are you seeing that this could help with autoimmune disorders?
Yeah. Absolutely. It's very well researched, that regeneration, because what is the root of autoimmune? Yeah. Inflammation.
Wow.
Right?
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so that's what you experience is it's just once it's in, and we just talk and give you a call and follow up. And then we nicely beg and plead for you to make lifestyle changes because it's 50-50.
Wow. Yeah.
And they go, oh, this didn't work for me. It was a scam. It was this. Well, yeah, there is labs out there that aren't doing good jobs, right? There is products that you probably need to be concerned about.
What do you need to look out for?
Yeah.
Like on that front?
That's a tough question. First off, I'm big about, in the U.S., you got to know that it's after birth, donated after birth.
Okay.
Right?
Donated
Other
after birth.
countries, that's not true.
Okay.
100%. For me, the second thing is, because I don't want it, We don't accept the COVID vaccinated donations.
Okay.
Some labs do, we don't.
Why is that?
Well, just because with the vaccine, there's a lot of unknowns about what that caused, and that's just where we just didn't want that in our product because it's artificial intelligence, not actual intelligence.
Got it.
Right. And so is medication.
And this
Now-
is a mother that's been vaccinated while
Correct.
pregnant
Or before.
Okay.
We don't want it.
We
don't want it.
How are they able to know?
Well, no one lies about it. And
Okay.
then, I just applied for life insurance again. And as soon as I hit yes, my medical history came up right in front of my computer. They've got whether you're vaccinated. We don't ask for the donation as soon as they're pregnant. We ask 6 months in. So all the data is already there. Right. And so that's artificial intelligence, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so I don't want it in there. Even some of the labs, the cryoprotectant was DMSO. It's a ionophoretic thing, but it's a chemical and it can be toxic at higher levels. And that's what they were using. And we were too. And still getting great benefits, but a very low dose.
Yeah.
We've now changed to where we have a product now that doesn't have that in it either. It's 100% natural. So no side effects on it. So just think, we want it to be as natural as possible. So the body we can take it from there, because cord blood's been used to treat leukemia. That's why they started saving cord blood, but it goes all the way back to Roman times.
Wow.
If you really
How
look
so?
at
Yeah,
it,
no,
if
explain
you
that.
really look at it, it goes all the way back. They were saving cords and they were doing things with cords back then, as far as using it to treat different diseases. They just didn't have disease names.
Weird.
Right?
I didn't know that.
Animals do
How
what
would
with
they-
their animals do what with their afterbirth? It's going to be hard pressed probably to find
Oh
it.
yeah, they just eat it, right?
And why do you think that is? Well, hunters think it's so that the prey doesn't smell the afterbirth. Well, that's not the truth.
Interesting.
It's because it's programmed.
They felt like they needed it
to
That's
rebuild
really
their
interesting.
bodies.
Wow.
So
Do you know anything about adrenochrome?
not enough to comment
Is
on.
this like the blood,
Yeah. This is where people are consuming,
where they're like drinking blood, basically?
they're drinking children blood that's
Yeah.
been basically spiked with cortisol because they kill them they put them through a very
Oh,
traumatic.
I just heard about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is wicked.
This is some
Yeah,
wicked,
this is
wild
evil.
stuff.
Yeah.
No,
and
I
something
just heard about
the,
that.
Something about the
Because it's a
fountain,
powerful.
It's a fountain of youth almost.
Right,
And
right.
So it's like, what was that one cartoon show, Monsters Inc., where they would scare people. And it would fill up the power thing. Well, that's
Yeah.
what they're talking about here. But here's the thing. I got to tell you something. Let's go back to cartoons to learn. What did they learn from Monsters Inc.? Laughter was much more powerful.
right.
A happy heart is good medicine. A joyful mind causes healing.
Yeah.
A mind scared out of itself has high cortisol levels. So what you're doing is you're spiking the drugs.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
spiking the drugs to get a quick hit.
Right.
Right. That's not healing. That's artificial replacement of
Right.
feeling.
And
Right.
that's why
we
kids,
just heard about this with someone.
Yeah, and that's why kids too are. I looked into it on why they think kids have so much energy, and one of it is because they have no stress, but they don't hold on to their emotions like we do. So they cry when they want to
Interesting.
cry, and they laugh when they want to laugh. And then the other thing is like we're conscious of our breathing, and if we're talking to people,
Yeah.
we're like, "Oh man, I'm breathing loud," so we take these short, shallow breaths. And kids are always. You watch a young kid and they're
They
just
sigh.
yeah.
Yeah.
and
Oh, I
they're
still do
breathing
that,
heavy.
bro.
So do
they
your
get a bunch
dogs.
of
Yeah.
oxygen. Yeah.
So do your dogs.
Yeah.
What's the other thing that you nailed though down? And this isn't, now we're going to get on the gaming thing. Sorry guys, but running outside.
Yeah.
Laughing,
Yeah.
playing, enjoying laughter. Everything
Yeah.
is the big thing. You want to heal, go watch a hilarious movie.
Yeah.
That's what they say. Yeah. Laugh a lot, right? Yeah.
So what does that do? It releases the right things, but it's scriptural too, right? It's
Yeah.
God said a happy heart is good medicine.
Yeah.
But here's the heart pumps what? Our blood.
Blood. Yeah.
We
Right?
thought that was.
Yeah.
We all thought that was a trick question.
I know. I was like, blood?
Blood, right?
Good
It
vibes.
pumps.
Good vibe.
Good.
Yeah,
Electrical
the heart
frequency.
pumps
Yeah.
good vibes and electrical frequencies. Dr. Darcy, I want to ask you, where do you see regenerative medicine 10 years from now?
There's going to be two things. There's going to be regenerative medicine that's already happening that is an FDA-approved drug.
Okay.
The FDA has, some thoughts and things about certain processing of and how that's done. And, I agree with their caution because of what's happening out there in the labs. When you get a scientist, though, that the medical freedom side of that, let's RFK it a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. The medical freedom side of that is let's keep it natural. Let's keep it the way God made it, right? So our goal is to not have an FDA-approved regenerative product. Our goal is to have the medical freedom to be able to choose something that's natural, because blood is not a drug.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Blood is not a drug.
Mm-hmm.
There's power. There's authority in blood. All the programming, all life is in that blood, right? And then the breath of life there is not a drug, though. So in the future, I see there's going to be both. And we want to have where you have, you can have a natural product that you're able to acquire that's not FDA approved. Now it's highly expensive, right? Standard therapy can be around $6,000.
Yeah.
Right. Hopefully that price will come down in the future, as what comes up. As consumption comes up, price can come down. And so that's what I see, is there going to be a natural product that comes forth. And there will be the others that fall under the FDA. But my goal is to your generation and the people make the choice, because it's supply and demand even for healthcare.
Sure.
Because we live in a constitutional republic. Where is the power and authority? It's us.
Sure.
We make the decisions.
We forget about that a lot, but it is us.
Yeah.
Right. So if you decide as a generation to stop taking drugs that are not necessary and do the right things, what happens to the supply? It shifts to what you want. And so that's what I see for the future, is a generation. There's a demographic shift of people that are now questioning, things. And this will sum it up here. There comes a time in your life where you're going to make a decision to stop wasting your time, effort, energy, and finances on managing the decline.
Mm-hmm.
And make a cognitive decision, or you say, be the adult in the room to invest in the incline.
Yeah.
Do things that increase you, not things that slow down the decrease of you.
Amen.
Right.
And that's where medical freedom comes in. That's where diet, exercise, nutrition, peptides and things like that are things that increase,
Yeah.
And we want to have oversight so we know it's safe. But this is one of the safest things that I've seen. Our scientists, literally, this is the safest thing he's ever seen in 20 years.
Oh,
wow.
It doesn't hurt people. It only helps people. The worst thing that it could do is it's sub-threshold where you can't perceive the change yet. That just might mean that you had a lot going on.
Right.
You didn't make the lifestyle changes. You might need a couple rounds,
Right.
2 or 3. I do it every 6 months for wellness. So one testimony real quick. My mom, because, my mom's generation, their doctors were homeopaths. And then the pharmaceutical world came in and changed a lot of things, and it saved lives. But then they started listening to the prescriptions of their doctors explicitly.
Mm-hmm.
My father died of a heart attack. He was on 5 blood pressure medications. They changed one. 2 weeks later, he had a heart attack. He survived it, went to the hospital. I said, whatever you do, Dad, don't do a stress test. And they did a stress test. I said nuclear stress test. Later, I figured out. And they did a physical stress test, and he passed it. They said his heart was fine. And he went home, and 2 hours later, he died of a massive heart attack.
Oh, man.
And I got to tell you, I blame the doctors. I said it was their fault. It took me 5 years of being angry, because hurt people, right?
Yep.
It took me 5 years of being angry at the medical system and blaming them until I finally hear what God was telling me. He died of a bad heart. That's what he died of, because if his heart was healthy, a stress test wouldn't have affected him.
Wouldn't have, yeah.
So take responsibility for your body. And had we had this, he'd still be here. So my sweet mom had polio as a kid. Severe scoliosis now, after my dad graduated to heaven. He's an attorney, I think, in heaven now, working in those courts.
Yeah.
She became a little more sedentary, and her scoliosis got worse. And she called me one day and she said, I can't get out of bed. So she's bedridden. And she's that generation. So she did epidural injections. They didn't work. She went to the surgeon, who referred her to a deformity surgeon. And he came back and said, I can't do surgery on you. You're too severe. You will die.
Wow.
So it was through her desperation that she looked at me and she said, what should I do? I said, listen to your son. We're going to do regenerative cell factors. We're going to do this therapy. We're going to see what it happens. And 3 months later, I've got her dancing
Wow,
at Christmas with my boys.
Oh,
Wow.
praise God.
Right?
That's
Now,
crazy.
Congratulations.
She's
That's
84 years
crazy.
old. We do it every 3 months for her. Why? Because I can and I want to.
Yeah.
She looks 5 years younger, 5 years
Come
later.
on now.
Her only problem is she still has scoliosis. It's not going to get rid of that, and she won't get up out of her chair and exercise. But when she goes to heaven, I'm going to know that I did everything I could.
Yeah,
So is my dad.
100%, man. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Right.
That is
and now
awesome.
what's cool is my kids, sorry guys, but my plan's Genesis 6, 120 years.
Yeah.
I'm 53. I'm on no medications.
Yeah.
I work out.
Let's go.
I do what I want to do. I'm working at getting a little better fit.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I was doing the fast like you. The difference was I was working all day and then I'd go out. My boys were athletes and I'd go out after the game and eat burgers and beers.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And that didn't work so well.
Right.
Wrong kind of fasting.
Yeah.
So this is what I'd say to kind of wrap that up is people, we want to transform lives through simplicity and truth. It's not just regenerational, it's generational.
Yep.
The choices you make now affect your lifestyle later. And
Yeah.
if you do choices that are regenerative and are proactive to your health and you take responsibility, the things that we blame for our health are not the doctor's faults. They're not the matter of fact, thank God for surgeons. Don't dog surgeons. When you need them, you want them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's your
100%.
fault.
Right.
You make the
You've done it to
decisions.
yourself, yeah.
Now, you say, well, a car accident, a plane crash, that's not my fault.
Yeah.
But what did I do? I took responsibility for what
Yeah.
happened and I start to do
Of
the right
course.
choices.
Of course.
Now, here's what's funny. Do I still hurt? Yeah, I was trying to, you go to the gym and you do those tests and you're trying to man up everyone. And, we were doing the kettlebell farmer carry with 60 pounds, see who could go the longest. And a minute and a half in, pain hit my back. I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
He's like, what? I said, well, because I don't need to be man enough. I won't want to hurt like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
But
sure.
you're just being smart about it.
So,
Yeah, and proactive. That's awesome, man.
Oh, man.
We got some good shorts on there.
We got
bro.
some
That's
great
good
stuff,
edits
man.
on
Dr.
that for
Darcy,
sure,
thank
man.
you,
Yeah.
sir.
yep.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank
you need
you
to
so
land,
much for
land the
being
plane
here.
because he now needs to be a guest on Know the Cause. So
Yeah, buddy.
everybody check that one out. Man, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this content, please consider subscribing to the channel, like this video. For more info on Dr. Darcy, we're going to have all of that in our description. Subscribe, chime back in, and we will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.